What's up, guys? It's Techno Viking 23 coming to you today with a little bit of news with Mass Effect Andromeda. Just basically going to be recapping some stuff that we learned over in 7 weekend, which of course was last Saturday. Unfortunately, with my new job and everything, I haven't really been able to stay on top of things, so putting videos out is taking me a little bit longer, but I definitely wanted to make a video talking about a few things we learned last week about Mass Effect Andromeda, because there's really not a whole lot of news coming out about it. BioWare is being pretty tight-lipped so far on the next game in the Mass Effect series, but I know a lot of us Mass Effect fans are really excited and really hopeful for Andromeda. We're hoping it's going to be an amazing game to continue on the series. There's also a few reasons to possibly temper expectations, though, and I'm going to go over that a little bit. But the first thing we got was there was actually a new trailer, which they had narrated by Jennifer Hale, who, of course, voiced female Shepard in the trilogy. So that was pretty cool. And it basically shows a lot of human exploration and shows a lot of our achievements, like going to space, going to the moon, things like that. And then at the end, they do a little scene where there's this really futuristic looking ship flying off in the distance, and you hear Shepard say she's signing off and turning things over to the Pathfinder, which supposedly she's talking to you, who you will be in the new game. So it was pretty neat, and some people are kind of speculating that this might mean the fact that they had Commander Shepard narrating the trailer, that this means the Andromeda mission was launched during the events of the Mass Effect trilogy. Of course, that's speculation at this point. We really don't know much about the story or what's going on there. Personally, I do hope that this game is going to somewhat parallel the leaked timeline we saw a while back. A couple months ago, there was a timeline that came out. BioWare did not say it was a leak from them, but it was someone had leaked this timeline showing that the events of Andromeda sort of parallel the original trilogy, centering around a device called the Ark, which humans find on Mars when they make the Prothean discovery, but they keep it secret from the other races and species in the galaxy, and they basically start working on this Ark device, which turns out to be an ability to get to the Andromeda galaxy. Possibly something that the Protheans were using to kind of escape the Reapers. We don't know that. Of course, this is, again, all speculation. But I really hope it somewhat mirrors that timeline, because that sort of coincides with the cutscene that there is in Mass Effect 3 after you fail on Thessia. When the Reapers invade Thessia, there's a cutscene with one of the Asari counselors from the Citadel, and she basically says, plans have to be put in place for the continuation of the species of the galaxy. So it would be really kind of cool if it turned out that this was going on kind of parallel to what was going on with Commander Shepard, but at the same time, it's all different characters in kind of a different area. And it's going to be interesting to see what BioWare winds up doing for the story of the game. But anyway, so you got the new trailer there. I will link that down below. You guys want to go watch that. It's pretty short, but it's pretty cool as well. And some other news and tidbits we got out of N7 weekend was that Mass Effect Andromeda is going to share the similar graphics technology with Star Wars Battlefront, which I think this is incredibly good news, because Star Wars Battlefront, while I don't think the game itself is all that great or worth the full $60 price, which I'm going to go over that in a completely separate video, I do think Star Wars Battlefront is one of the best looking games I have seen yet on this new console generation. I thought it looked really, really good on PlayStation 4. Played really smooth. The graphics engine was great. A lot of great effects. The backdrops were amazing. The graphics just looked phenomenal with Star Wars Battlefront, even in the beta form. So if Mass Effect Andromeda is going to share a similar graphics engine, graphics technology with that, I think it's going to look absolutely amazing. And Mass Effect was already a very good-looking game in general. The first game, of course, back when it came out in 2008, looks a little bit older, but you still had a lot of different varied environments there. Mass Effect 2 and Mass Effect 3, though, really, really good-looking games, even on the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. So I think it's good news that we're going to get some really, really good graphics with Mass Effect Andromeda, and it's good to see some of these, the consoles being, and the developers being able to take a little bit more advantage of the new technology. A separate video I'm also going to do, I'm going to just discuss the whole graphics issue, because that's something that's going around since Fallout 4 came out, and I just want to weigh in on that as well, but that's for a separate video. Now, one other tidbit of news we did get out of N7 weekend that I was a little disappointed with, and something that's part of a larger thing where I'm going to tempering my expectations a little bit. As much as I'm excited for Mass Effect, this little bit of news did make me kind of dial it back a little bit. They did come out and say that in Mass Effect Andromeda, you will only be able to play as a human protagonist. So when you do your whole character creation, you're only going to be able to create a human character. Now, there was a rumor several months back that you were actually going to be able to create a character from any race in the Mass Effect universe. I guess, which would have been really amazing. I am really, really disappointed by this. And now BioWare's excuse, what they said was basically that it's a human story. And then us as gamers, we want to be able to relate to someone as a main character, and so we have to relate to a human character. I think that's a load of crap. I think that's bull. I really, at this point, would rather see us be able to pick and choose from our, all the various races in Mass Effect, because that's really what made Mass Effect a really great game. Was, the first Mass Effect you kind of did play. There was a lot of focus on the humans. The humans are trying to find their place on the Citadel and within the galaxy, and of course Commander Shepard being a human, going after Saren and saving the galaxy, and kind of gave humans their place in the universe. But then Mass Effect 2, Mass Effect 3 really heavily got into the whole, we're humanity, and we've made all these advancements, but we're still this very small piece of this huge puzzle of the universe. And there's all kinds of these different, really unique, awesome races: the Asari, the Turians, Solarians, the Krogan, go on and on and on. One of the amazing things I really loved about the Mass Effect games was just how there were so many varied races that did borrow from a lot of sci-fi, but also a lot of what's going on in the real world. And they had all these really great races that you could relate to and play with. And obviously you couldn't play as those races, but I really think that's a direction they really should have gone in for this future game. Because I'm sure they showed in the trailers for at E3 and whatnot, there are other races with you. In this new galaxy. So, obviously there's other crew members of the ship and things that are going to be with you. So I really thought it would have been nice if we could have chosen from any of these races to become the Pathfinder, because how cool it would be to play as an Asari, or, we all want to play as a Krogan. And that's one of the great things about the Mass Effect 3 multiplayer, is it lets you go in and play as just about any race. And even though there's not, Mass Effect 3 multiplayer is not any dialogue, it's essentially horde mode with some objectives, but the fact that, I get a real kick out of playing as a Krogan and running around like meleeing everybody on the map, and after a couple melee kills, the Krogan starts laughing and he gets all cocky, and it's just so the racial traits come out even just barely in the multiplayer, which is really cool. So I really think it'd be a very unique thing to experience if they could do that in Mass Effect Andromeda. It's disappointing to me that they're not going to allow that, especially given the progression BioWare has made throughout the years with their games and allowing you to go beyond the human aspect of things. If you think about Star Wars: The Old Republic, which is a BioWare game, kind of mixed feelings on that game. A lot of people might not like it. Some people really do like it. But the fact is, you can play as 11 different species in Star Wars: The Old Republic. You can play as all the different Star Wars aliens, or you can make a human, you can make a cyborg, you can be a Twi'lek, you could be a Mirialan, you can do all kinds of different races from the Star Wars universe in that game. And then if you even want to look at a more recent BioWare game, look at Dragon Age Inquisition. Obviously, you can be a human, you can be an elf, you can be a dwarf, you can be a Kunari. And the really cool thing about that is I do have some mixed feelings on Dragon Age Inquisition as I'm going through the game and getting towards the end, but the cool thing is I've started different playthroughs with other species, other races, and different people in the game react to you differently based on which race you choose. Like, especially if you pick a Kunari, like in the beginning of the game, there's a lot of really interesting reactions to you versus if you play as a human or versus if you play as an elf, and so forth and so on. So that adds a lot more immersion to the game. It adds a lot more replay value, I think, when you can go through it and play. And that's one of the reasons I've really enjoyed BioWare games for the most part is with Mass Effect, it was always a replay thing where you had, you made different choices, you romanced different characters, and the choices you made back in the first game affect what happens in the second and the third game, and you can go through and just replay it so many times with having different aspects. In Dragon Age Inquisition, having that different race option really changes around how your playthrough goes. So I really think they're missing out on something huge here that could really benefit Mass Effect Andromeda. So that's unfortunate that they're only allowing us to play as a human. I don't buy their excuse of, I need to relate to this main character. I can, we've related to Commander Shepard for three full games. It's time for something a little bit different. They could branch out and allow you to choose a different alien or different race to let you play as an Asari or Turian or something. That would be really cool. So that's my only real disappointment from N7 weekend, was learning that little bit of news. That's very unfortunate. And as I said, going to temper my expectations a little bit after hearing that, because to me that's just not a very good development decision from BioWare. And there's also some things in Dragon Age Inquisition, as I've been playing through, that I'm really not a big fan of. I've heard there have been some rumors that Mass Effect Andromeda is going to be a little bit more like Dragon Age Inquisition in terms of the exploration, the open world, and also having a similar thing to the war table, where you're going to be able to send people out on missions. And I really hope they, don't go away from the third-person shooter aspect of Mass Effect, because while Dragon Age is very interesting and you have the party combat system, the combat in Dragon Age just does not add up to Mass Effect. It's just nowhere near it. It just doesn't feel anywhere as smooth or as polished, and there's just some annoyances in Dragon Age Inquisition I really hope don't wind up being in Mass Effect Andromeda. Also, some of the guys who worked on Mass Effect 3 are going to be back on the project, and that is also a little bit concerning. I know a lot of people very upset over the ending of Mass Effect 3. We all know about the whole fiasco and, of course, the petitions and things people ended up doing to wind up getting the DLC endings added in. Myself personally, I was disappointed a little bit with the ending of Mass Effect, and I'm talking about the extended cut one, not the original. I know the originals were just terrible. The extended cut was a little bit better, but I'm one of those people where I played my first playthrough Mass Effect 3 was probably around 60 hours or so, and 98% of that was an absolutely amazing time. I thought the quest system was a bit of a mess. You do have to go everywhere and all over the place, and it's very unclear compared to Mass Effect 1 and Mass Effect 2. But I had a really good time playing the game, and I'm not one of those people. I know a lot of people who are just like, Mass Effect 3 is terrible, it's garbage, it sucks, BioWare is awful. I'm not one of those people who's willing to throw out, what was 99% of a great experience just because the ending was bad. It reminds me a little bit of Halo 2. Halo 2 had an absolutely terrible ending, kind of like Halo 5, I guess, if you want to compare it. But, Mass Effect 3 to me was a really, really good game. It just had a couple of flaws at the end, and the ending, of course, was pretty disappointing. But I don't let the ending dictate, what I thought was 99% for me was a really good experience. But still, it's something to be concerned about, having those guys back helping out with Mass Effect Andromeda. But, I think BioWare, if one thing they've proven over the years is they do deliver very competent storytelling, they deliver really solid voice acting. You can always kind of count on them to have lots of content in their game, and I don't think that's going to change, which is refreshing because the current way games are going right now, it just seems like let's throw out a $60 title that has absolutely minimalistic amount of content, and then there's a ton of DLC and some other crap, which is still not that good, but you have to almost buy it because you got to get more of the game. And in this day and age where that's happening, I'm still really happy with Dragon Age Inquisition, because despite it having a few flaws I'm not real a fan of, there's still like tons and tons of stuff to do and lots of content to play. I think I'm 58 hours into my playthrough, and I'm still, not close to the end yet, and running around trying to find everything. And it's very rewarding and refreshing to have games that still give you that amount of content for a decent price. And I think BioWare will still deliver that with Mass Effect Andromeda, because for some odd reason, Electronic Arts, EA, has not been stupid enough to try to screw up the Mass Effect series with their with their greed and their bullcrap. Now, they did do a little bit with Mass Effect 3. Obviously, they put in the DLCs, and they've got some of the, the microtransactions you can do in the multiplayer, which are really completely unnecessary. You don't, you get enough credits playing the actual game that you really don't have to spend money unless you really just want to progress faster. There's no point to really spending real money to get some of the stuff in Mass Effect 3. But EA, for the most part, has kept their fingers off of Mass Effect, so hopefully that will continue, and BioWare will be allowed to continue to work on the game at their own pace and give us a really good experience next year. But like I said, just a couple reasons there to kind of knock the expectations down a little bit. We still have a long time, probably about a year or so before the game is going to be out. But I was very, very happy to learn it's going to have the similar graphics to Star Wars Battlefront, because those look really, really good. So, but anyways, that's going to do it, guys. Let me know what you were excited about, if there's anything they mentioned over in 7 Weekend that you were, really fond of, or if there's anything like me, if you still have concerns about this game. I'm obviously just happy we're getting another Mass Effect game. Even if we do have to wait a little while, it seems like next year may be finally the year we're going to start getting some really good sci-fi games coming out for the new generation of consoles. So, I hope you guys are having a great day. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you guys are having some fun playing Mass Effect 3 multiplayer. I'm going to be getting back into some multiplayer videos here very soon. Just been real busy with work and things, but I'm still making videos in the background and trying to polish some things up, so we'll be uploading a few more things in the next few days. So again, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you're having a great day. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time.